Good morning or good afternoon, ladies and gents. Today we're going to talk about some Photoshop basics. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something simple. Some of you have already had some in-class instruction, but I want to go through and just double check to make sure we know what we're doing. Today what I want to do is grab a dog, and then we're going to put a cowboy. We're going to put this little kid riding the dog. So it's going to be combining two pictures. So the first thing I want you to do is when you Google image search, if you'll notice that you'll see there are numbers associated with each picture, that is giving you the size of the picture. So you notice if I look at these two, I've got 420 by 293, we're looking at pixels, to 1000 by 800. That's our pixels per inch. So the higher the number, the higher resolution. And when you have a higher resolution, you get a better looking image. So I'm going to take this one right here. And if you click on it, you'll see that it is a pretty high resolute picture. So what we do is we right click and then we save image as. When I do that, I'm going to save it to my pictures. And I'm just going to call it dog. I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to see that, okay, I've got this guy here. And remember, something that you want to do is try to get something that is going the same direction. You notice my horse and my dog are traveling the same direction. That'll make it easier for cutting out my little kid here. So I'm going to right-click on him, save image as, and I'm going to put cowboy. Save. Now, I'm going to open up my Photoshop. Remember, that's the blue PSE. There are two ways to do this. One, I could open this up, click on Edit. Let this open up here. So you see I've opened, my program has opened. I'll need to go to File, Open, and now I have the option to get my two pictures. So I'm going to first start out with my cowboy because that's what I'll need to cut out. I shouldn't need to cut anything out of my dog. I will still need to open up that file. So I can still, as it's opening this, I'm going to go to File, Open again, and select my dog. So, right now, if you look here, there's a couple things that I want to just go over. Remember, I have my tool palette here, my layers palette over here. This is going to be really important that we focus on this. And then these are my open files. I can maximize and minimize these here. I like to maximize it so I can get the biggest workspace that I want. So, the first thing is we want to cut this kid out. So, we're going to go up to my Quick Select tool. Now remember, once I click that, you'll notice that up here has changed. Remember, I've got my plus, which allows me to add to my selection. And as you see, I click and draw, you see I've got the dotted lines. If I wanted to take away from my selection, well then I go to the minus. And you see I click on the minus, now I can shrink that selection. Also, my brush size, you can see I can increase the brush size by going to diameter. Now I've got a bigger brush, or I can decrease it. I can also increase the edge of it, the hardness, meaning that, hey, how much edge is there? Is it a hard edge? Is it a soft edge? We're going to keep 100% here. And I'm going to go and add for my kid. Now, I want to get his saddle. I want to get his whole hat, his shoulder. I'm going to shrink down my brush so I can get it smaller, so I can get the more intricate parts. And then to zoom up so I can see more, I'm going to hit my Alt key and zoom in. And you see the closer I get, the more I see my pixels. And my pixels are those little squares. And so I'm selecting my Selecting my little kid here. And there we go. Now I'm going to cut out some of this space right here. That'll help me out here. You can get as intricate as you want. But now if you look, I've selected my child and his saddle. Okay. We could also, I think I'm going to grab the stirrups here. There we go. So what I do is I right click and I want to go to a layer via cut. When I do that, you'll see nothing really changed on my picture, but I do have my layer here. So you'll see I can click on the visual. So this little box, you see, it looks like a little eyeball. It indicates, can I see it? And all of a sudden my kid disappears. I click on it again, there he is. Or I click on my background, and there I just have my kid, and there it goes. Now, what we want to do is place the kid onto the dog. So I'm going to grab the layer here, and you notice what I did here. I had selected the middle part right here to kind of shrink this window. So now I can move it and see my dog. So I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to drag it over to the dog. And you see already we're in a pretty good spot here. I'm going to grab my arrow tool and you'll see I can resize it so that we can get him to the size we want to fit my dog. I click OK. Now, some of the issues are going to be, do we have a good blending of what we've got going here? Okay? So, some things here, if you notice I put my reins so they attach to the collar, but I still have some sky in there and some things. So what I want to do is go to my eraser tool, and using my eraser tool, I can blend some of this in to make it look a little better. Okay? One of the ways we can do this to make it blend is this part right here, opacity. So if you look right here, when opacity is 100, this is saying we're going to erase everything. Okay? So, if I change my opacity, let's take it around to 50%, you see this now gets a little lighter. So now it won't erase everything at first. And then if I go even lighter, you see now my marks start getting lighter and lighter. So if I come to the edge here, and remember when I'm erasing I need to know which layer I'm at, so I got to select my cowboy here, right? And we're going to erase. You can barely see, I need to crank this up a little more. And you see it starts to just blend. It's like I'm kind of smudging, right? And then I'm going to take a smaller brush. And then I'm going to zoom way up because I want to get rid of this blue sky in here. So you see how you can get very small. And you see with the blending, it doesn't take it all out right away, and it kind of gives you a nice, and get rid of all those blue squares. And then if I zoom out, you'll see that looks a lot better. I want you to try to get something like this. Get a cowboy riding a dog or riding some other animal that looks kind of goofy and looks kind of interesting. Good luck, guys.